So you likely know that Trump and Harris had a debate just yesterday. You probably also, if you watched it, felt that Harris won. That's about, it seems that about two-thirds felt that Harris won, one-third felt that Trump won. CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC all tended to agree that Harris did a good job. She prepared. Trump took her bait and just chased it and didn't answer the questions, but followed what Harris led him to follow. Okay, so what you're going to watch is just the clips concerning Ukraine. Okay, there's two places, actually there's three, I ignored one, but there's two. One is very primary about how they frame the issue of Ukraine. If you don't know me, my name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor that follows the war in Ukraine and tries to provide context daily. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, please consider subscribing. We're just going to listen to what they had to say about Ukraine. So here we are.
I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President.
Okay, he tends to say again and again, if I was president, this never would have happened. So you can't really prove that that would or wouldn't have happened. Liberals say, of course, he would have just rolled over for Putin. People on the right, particularly the most devoted MAGA, say, yeah, that never would have happened. But let's hear what Kamala Harris has to say, and then his response is fascinating.
President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un, and it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. So she listed all the things that he said. Now, Trump never speaks for precision. He always speaks for effect. But now this is being used against him when he said all these things that he said. And I think it's very fair for Harris to line up all those things that he said. The love letters thing was a little off, but otherwise Harris did a really good job here, I think, trying to put that. And now she is making a point that she did all night, and that was that they can manipulate him. She baited him all night, and that's really what happened, and he just seized on whatever she baited. Okay, let's keep going because he's going to talk full throttle about Ukraine in just a little bit after he gets through this next section.
Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened.
Okay, so what he's gotten away with is incredible, and it wouldn't have happened on my watch, is what he's going to articulate. But we don't know that that wouldn't have happened. And from your statements, and you'll see a statement here in a little bit, it doesn't seem like you would have done the same thing. Let's listen.
With me, the leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Okay, there's a little pause here, and then we'll see another clip.
Welcome back to this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
That was a great question. He asked him point blank, do you want Ukraine to win? I thought that was excellent on the moderator's part. Here's Trump's answer.
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left, I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here...
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up.
So he hit that same thought about if it was me, it never would have happened. He hit that NATO needs to, European countries need to pay their fair share. His numbers were off, but the point was NATO needs to pay their fair share. And then he kind of meandered and rambled about different things about is Biden okay? Is he alive? Okay. But he didn't answer the actual question. And the actual question was, do you want Ukraine to win? He wouldn't answer that. So that's not a good sign. Let's hear Harris.
Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard.
That was pretty good. I mean, she did a great job with this, like with a dictator who will eat you for lunch. She's hitting all the correct talking points. Now, I don't think it's just talking points. I think there's not going to be a lot of difference between the Biden administration and a potential Harris administration as far as what their policy would be. What her rhetoric is clearly the same. They slow walk things too much for my taste, but then the other alternative is Trump. And while he could be something else, he's not showing me any great signs that he is going to be supportive of Ukraine. I'm a conservative. I'm telling you, like, he does not show me the signs that I would want to see that he's going to be supportive of Ukraine. Okay, a couple little things. Here's Bill O'Reilly and Geraldo Rivera in their analysis of this afterwards.
Talk about migrants eating dogs and cats. I mean, that's something Saturday Night Live would do. Why would you even bother to do that?
He was childish, he was creepy, he was cringy. That thing about eating dogs, they eat dogs, he was obsessed with it. He wouldn't let it go. He put that bone in his mouth and he rattled it. And I thought that she withstood Hurricane Trump. She came across as competent, even confident after that first half hour, which I agree with you, Trump, that was definitely his best half hour. Then he just descended into chaos. He couldn't make a straight point. He kept returning to generalizations as thinking that through braggadocio alone that he could prevail. He was terrible tonight. And you can apologize for him all you want, but he did not seem presidential. He wouldn't even have made the debate team at a junior high.
That's on News Nation, and this was Bill O'Reilly, formerly from Fox, and Geraldo Rivera, also formerly from Fox, and one of Trump's former pals. Okay, I want to show you this because there was this thing about an earring, maybe Kamala is listening to this or something like this. Okay. Take all these things with a mountain of salt. In fact, I wouldn't give it any credence. If this actually happened, let's just say it happened, it would destroy her campaign if she actually did something like that. But I don't think that's what's going on. I think there is something already. Okay, so what's it saying? Rumors are already spreading that Kamala Harris was wearing audio earrings and dialogues were being played to her. I don't think that's true at all. I think she just simply prepared. Now, if something like that happened, and I'm not saying that it did, or doing both sidesing, or whatever people might say, I'm not saying that. If she did that, it would be destroying her campaign. She prepared. Now, what would be more interesting would be to see where to trace this source and see from what St. Petersburg address this kind of thing came from. You see it also in German as well. Is it German or somewhere else? Hat Kamala Harris be der Debatte gegen Trump. I don't know what that is, but here's the same thing. Did Kamala Harris wear earrings with speech function during the debate against Trump? And what's coached, no matter, Trump still won. No, Trump didn't win, and she prepared. That's what the bottom line is. But it would be great to see something like Ryan Macbeth or somebody trace out where these things came from and see where the trolls are coming from. Okay, that's the long and short of it. You saw it with your own eyes. I don't know what else to add to it, but that is what happened as far as Ukraine was concerned in the debate last night. Put your comments in the comments below. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.